Are natural fabrics expensive hype? Welcome to my YouTube channel where we share relatable ways that you can level up your health. So back to the questions. Natural fabrics, are they expensive hype? Because if you really think about it, clothes are one of those things that we put on our bodies every single day for hours. We sweat in them, we sleep in them, we work out in them. So this topic is gold. And when I started looking into it, I realized that it's not as simple as natural is good and synthetic is bad. A 100% cotton shirt and a polyester shirt can both carry chemicals that your body has to deal with. So we're not just talking about fashion anymore, we're talking about exposure. And we want to break this down in this video. What synthetic fabrics actually do in the body, whether they're as bad as people say, what's really happening with these new clothes smells, and most importantly, what you can realistically do without throwing away your entire wardrobe. Before we go too deep, let's quickly understand what we're even talking about when we say natural and synthetic fabrics. Synthetic fabrics are things like polyester, nylon, acrylic, spandex, and they're called synthetic because they're not coming from plants. They're actually made from petroleum, basically plastic, processed into threads that feel like fabric. And on the other hand, natural fabrics are things like cotton, linen, silk, wool. These come from plants or animals. So cotton from cotton plants, linen from flax, silk from silkworms, wool from sheep. And at this point, you probably say, oh, okay, natural is better, end of story. But honestly, it's not that simple, because by the time that cotton shirt or linen dress gets to you, it has gone through multiple stages of bleaching, dyeing, softening, sometimes even chemical finishing to make it wrinkle-free or stain resistant. What you are wearing is not just cotton, it's processed cotton. And the same thing applies to synthetic fabrics as well. From the fabric to the store, your fabric goes through a lot. Earlier, I talked about that new clothes smell. It's not cleanliness, so it's chemicals. My last video, I talked about some of their names, like formaldehyde resins that are used to keep clothes from wrinkling. And then dyes, sometimes they contain heavy metals, and in some cases, coatings make them stain resistant. Some of these substances have been studied for their ability to interfere with the body in subtle ways. Not necessarily in a dramatic, immediate way, like if I wear clothes today, something is going to happen to me. But over time, through repeated exposure, they can contribute to things like skin irritations, allergies, and in some cases, hormone disruptions, and some other cases, low-grade inflammation. Now, this does not mean that every single piece of clothes you own is bad. This means that your body may be constantly interacting with something in what you wear, and that exposure adds up. So the next logical question is, wait, but the skin is a barrier. Yes, it's a barrier, but it is not impermeable. It's actually semi-permeable. That means certain things are small enough to pass through under the right conditions. And think about how we wear clothes in real life. If you're in Lagos, with the Lagos heat, you're probably sweating. Your clothes are probably tight in some areas. There's friction, your pores are open. That combination of heat, sweat, makes certain substances interact more closely with your skin. And this is especially relevant with synthetic fabrics because they tend to trap heat and moisture more than breathable fabrics like cotton or linen. So you now have more sweating, more retention, and longer contact time between your skin and whatever chemical is in that fabric. Studies have shown that certain chemicals used in textiles can be detected on the skin, and in some cases, small amounts are absorbed with prolonged exposure. So it's something that we definitely need to pay attention to. And no, you don't need a lab test to start seeing these things. Some people actually see the results of these chemicals immediately, the sensitive guys. And now I know people who would say that, oh, when I wore those clothes, I started having some irritations in real time. And definitely baby clothes. Babies feel these things earlier than most people because their skins are more sensitive. And you know, for those ones that we have contact with over time, they actually have something called endocrine disruptors. Let me talk about the synthetic fabrics. Now, for synthetic fabrics, we've talked about chemicals used on them, but what about the fabrics themselves? And that's why people run to natural fabrics. Now, I wouldn't completely say don't take or don't use synthetic fabrics. In fact, they're popular for a reason. They're durable, stretchy, they hold the shape well, they're more affordable. And when you look closer, in comparison to natural fabrics, the difference starts to matter, okay? Now, the first problem with most synthetic fabrics like polyester or nylon is that they are not very breathable. So instead of allowing air to flow through, they tend to trap heat and moisture. And in a climate like ours, that's a big deal because now you're sweating more and that sweat is not evaporating easily. It's staying on your skin, and with time, it's absorbed into your skin because it's like the material has created a closed environment, and that kind of environment is the type that irritates the skin, disrupts the natural balance of bacteria on your skin. Some people have breakouts or infections. Now, the second layer to this for synthetic fabrics are that they are essentially plastic fibers, and over time, especially with washing over and over again, they can begin to shed tiny particles, what we call microplastics. Conversations around microplastics are still evolving, but what we do know is that they're everywhere, in water, in air, and even around what we wear. So your clothes are a contributor. Synthetic fabrics can increase the overall load in your body that your body has to deal with, right? Because like I said, they are processed and they are less breathable. And so naturally people will probably say, okay, let's wear natural fabrics. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't do natural fabrics, but be aware of the fact that natural fabrics are not an automatic solution. Doesn't automatically mean safe, but you can make natural fabric much more healthier for your skin. You guys may need to check out my previous video on the way that you're going to wash it. Natural fabrics are more breathable. They allow air to flow better than many synthetic fabrics will probably do the job. But my issue with natural fabrics is that, you see, cotton especially is usually heavily treated with pesticides, and almost all natural fabrics as well, they go through the same chemical processing loads that we're talking about here, right? So sometimes it may be bleached with dye, synthetic dyes treated to be wrinkle-free, or even finished to feel softer, and these are natural. So again, it's not just cotton you're wearing, you're probably wearing pesticides and dyes and finishings and whatnot. Can get natural fabrics, but you should also catch up with the video on how to wash them to reduce your exposure to these chemicals. Also, you can look out for brands that specifically states that they are minimally processed. That's the real goal. And the real goal, really, like I said over and over again, is not perfection. You don't necessarily have to remove all these things 100%, because yes, I may be talking about all these things, but your body also has a detox system that removes strangers from your body. So you don't need to throw away all your clothes. You don't need to throw away synthetic fabrics completely. Just be aware of how to reduce exposure, be aware of what you are dealing with, and we can have a practical way to make things better for your health. I have a hack for you. If there is anything that you want to try to focus on for fabrics, maybe not all kinds of clothes. For the looser clothes that don't really have a lot of contact with your skin, you can just let it go, let it slide, okay? But the underwears, your bed sheets, your sleeping wears, you can look for natural fabrics. You can look for minimally processed fabrics. Spend your money on that. But you see, the outer wears, the jackets, the loose wears, the loose outing clothes, those are fine, okay? It's okay if it's synthetic or whatnot. The contact is not too much on your skin, so you don't have to be afraid of those. So when people ask, are synthetic fabrics bad or are natural fabrics better? I would say the bigger problem is not even the fabric. It's about how the fabric was processed and what has been added to it. You can wear natural fabrics that are heavily treated and still be exposed to a lot. And you can wear synthetic fabrics occasionally without it being a major issue. So let's talk. Now, I said that we are figuring this stuff out together. So if you guys know of any handmade, local, low processed fabric options in Nigeria, please share this video until we find a solution. Clothing vendors, this is a niche you don't want to sleep on. I'll be your #1 influencer. Low toxin, low processed, ready to wear clothes, underwears, footwears. This is already gaining momentum in the US, and I'm thinking getting fabrics from the US may be a hassle because of the exchange rate, but you know, we can try our local guys, right? Abeokuta does some adire tie and dyes. I know that Oshodi, Aswani market, they have some traditionally and locally sourced fabrics alongside imported materials. So as long as you guys can identify the right fabrics, I know Edo and Delta states are hubs for George fabric. I'm thinking that we can use George materials to do some ready-to-wears. Does it have to always be traditional? Something we should think about. But basically, these options are there, but we need a movement to make it go mainstream. And guys, if you want to make this go mainstream with me, share this video, subscribe to my channel, and we can make a difference in what we wear. See you guys in the next video.